Good morning, everyone. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. I have got a story to tell, a testimony about God's providential care, His communication, and blessings. I don't know how you spent your Thanksgiving this 2025. Mine was bringing my brother-in-law in his broke-down truck, one back there, back from Santa Rosa, New Mexico. This adventure began on Tuesday. As I was waiting for the leaves to dry up so I could go out and go work, I get a phone call. And Adriel's broke down, his probably blown head gasket in his truck. And when I say it was in Santa Rosa, he was actually 10 minutes, 10 miles, whatever, west of there at a little truck stop in the middle of nowhere. I mean, there's really not anything around for about 10 miles either way of him. So I had to do what I had to do. I mean, the man needed to get home. He needed to get his truck home. And the only person that he could call was me. So quickly, Ron and I got me together, grabbed my little trailer, and without any real preparation, headed down the road. Now, my truck is a 2004 Ford F-250. It has over 300,000 miles on it. It's my work truck. It's what I make my living with. The trailer that I was using is not one that I use all the time. So maintenance on it, you could say, is kind of neglected because it's just an occasional use thing. Let alone plan on going nearly 900 miles one way to pick up a truck to haul it nearly 900 miles back. So everything seemed to be going fine until I got to Marshall, Texas. When I got to a certain spot in the road in Marshall, Texas, and the reason I say a certain spot in the road is because, well, I'll get to that. I was speaking to a friend of mine on the phone when all of a sudden I looked in my mirror and I saw what looked like smoke at my trailer. And I'm thinking, the brakes are not, shouldn't be smoking. Maybe I got bearings out or whatever. And then I saw my trailer was wet. And I told him I got to get off the phone, check my truck because something's happened. And I pulled over as quick as I could. Long story short, upper radiator hose blew. From clamp to clamp, it blew out the whole side. I hadn't been out of my truck looking under the hood more than maybe 2 or 3 minutes when a man stopped on the little side road right beside the highway to ask if I needed help. Thank God for him. My first angel. He was my angel. And his name was James. And I took note of the fact the man's name was James. And he brought me into Marshall, Texas. And I bought what I needed. Some more antifreeze stuff. Some water. Another hose. Went back to my truck. It's an easy fix, you know. So I put it all together. I got my picture taken with him. And I took note of the fact that along the entire highway there at Marshall, Texas, there's one place where the road that he was on was maybe 40 feet away from where I was at. Providence, providential care. Okay? God put me in the right place at the right time. And not only that, I had missed some places. When I went to fill up before I had this stop, it took me 11 miles out of the way and back. So that time delay, God's in control. Because if I'd gotten it somewhere else that I could have, come to find out, I might have been either not there at the time he was, or further down the road. So God's timing is perfect. There's a proverb that says, a man may plan his course, but it's the Lord who determines his steps. So James helped me out. Now, I think everything's good. Got the hose replaced, heading down the road, because the truck didn't overheat until I'm heading down the road, and it starts overheating. I'm like, what is going on? I get out and I check, and I see water pouring out of my engine. I hadn't gotten past Marshall, Texas, so I had to turn in another exit to get there. Went back to the place, determined it was my water pump had gone out, and I needed to get to a hotel somewhere. And understand, a lot of what I'm telling you, I can't really remember a lot of it because there was so much happening and so much pressure to get down the road, and not only do I have to get Adriel, I still have to make it home. So I make it to Decatur, Texas, to a hotel around about 10:30 that night. And I'm thinking, I've got to change my water pump. I know. How do I do that? Because, I'm going to if I can turn the camera around, I want to show you. Well, I don't know how to turn it around while I'm making this video. So what I will do is I will show you this tool is a custom handmade tool that I made myself for the sole purpose of taking the fan clutch off of my engine. It was here in Louisiana. Now you look at that. You don't just find one of these anywhere. There's a spinner that goes right behind, it goes over the water pump, and the spinner has a bunch of little holes in it. Now, I listen to God. God tells me things. It's not like he said, now Stacy, do this. He just lets me know. I call it unction, okay? When James, where James found me, there was a bungee cord on the ground. And I knew I needed that bungee cord. So I put it in the back of the truck. But all night long, that Tuesday night into Wednesday, I'm rolling in the bed trying to figure out how am I going to get this fan clutch off? Because if I can't get the fan clutch off, I don't change the water pump. If I don't change the water pump, I don't know how I'm going to make it home. How am I going to carry enough fluid to get me 7 hours? I was at this point at least 7-8 hours away from my home in my work truck that I make a living with. Well, I got online and found there was an AutoZone. It wasn't 2 miles away. It had a pump I could use. Okay. Roll in the bed trying to figure out what do I have in my truck, because I keep things in my truck. There's always some kind of little pieces of junk and whatever in my truck, and I had that bungee cord too, so I'm thinking the hook's on the bungee cord. Somehow I'm going to use those hooks, whatever. The next morning, I get up, I have breakfast, and I think, I need to have enough fluid because I don't know how much I've lost. I don't know how much I'll need to fill the engine back up because it takes over 7 gallons of coolant. So I found a Dollar General store, and I go to the Dollar General store. I get there about 10 minutes before they open. So while I'm waiting in the parking lot for them to open, Ron and I are talking on the phone. And I'm telling her what's going on, filling her in. And told her I said the next place I needed to go was the AutoZone, and I happened to look in the mirror on my door. The AutoZone was across the street. And I had to cry a little bit because what a relief, okay? So I tootled on over there. And I walked in and I talked to the young man who was the manager. His name was Noah. Another name in the Bible. And as I've told this story repeatedly, things come out to me. Noah dealt with a flood, right? Well, I had a lot of stuff coming out. I was flooding the road with my coolant. Rain, okay? It was bad. But I asked him, I said, can I work on my truck here? You know, he said, sure. He said, people have done worse. So I start digging into the truck, draining the fluids out, all that stuff. Thinking, how am I going to get this water pump off of here? How am I going to get this clutch off of this thing? So, you know the little yard signs that you see, and they got the two little legs sticking down, little wire? Well, I had some of that in the back of my truck. So I look under my hood, and on either side where the batteries are, there's two little holes in the metal. So the first one I took, this is one of the legs for one of those yard signs. See the hooks? So I hooked in to the spinner, made my way over to the hole, found where I needed to bend it for the other side, and hooked it in. I had an adjustable wrench that I could use to undo it, but I'd rented one of the tool sets from the AutoZone to just in case they had the little spanner wrench that would hold this in place, but they didn't. So they had a little wrench in there that worked for me. Got the fan clutch off, got everything changed. Even changed the bottom radiator hose, because if the top one's going, the bottom one's going, I didn't need any more troubles. I looked at the belt seemed fine, so I kept the belt. Put everything back together. I had let Adriel know that it was looking like I wasn't going to be able to make it up there. I had to figure out how to get home. So he was able to catch a ride from the place down to where I was at. In the meantime, I'm still working on my truck at the AutoZone. I get it all put back together, so I go take it for a drive around the block, and it was just so convenient. It was just take out the parking lot, turn right, go up about a half mile, turn right again, go up maybe a mile or so, turn right again and come up and turn right again, and I'm back at the AutoZone. I get out and I'm still leaking. It's my radiator. I got to get a radiator. So I go inside and I tell the guys I need a radiator. We don't have one, but there's one 12 miles away. And the man who brings me there, who works at AutoZone, his name is Jacob. Now, Jacob is what Israel's original name was. How many tribes of Israel? 12. So we had to go 12 miles so I could get a radiator. Went and got the radiator, brought it back, put it in. By this time, Adriel's finally made it down here. Get it all put back together, get in, go drive it around, come back. I'm still leaking. There's a hose that comes out from underneath. Now, I've been looking at my reservoir, my boil-off reservoir, and I'm looking at the seam thinking, maybe I've got something coming, because the way the spray pattern was, it seemed like it might have been that. But no, it turned out it seemed there's a hose set up. There's a Y pipe underneath there. Hose goes to the engine. Another hose goes to the firewall. Another hose goes to this boil-off reservoir. But the way it's put together looked like one of the clamps, the plastic clamps that holds one of the hoses on, was spitting out coolant when it was under pressure. So I went and bought one of those. Put it on there. Took it for a drive around, seemed like it was okay. I don't think I discovered my last leak until we were down the road. Because we went and grabbed something to eat, and I'm like, we have got to get your truck. We'll go in that direction and see what happens. By the way, one of the other young men who was in the store, the AutoZone, his last name is Job. Remember, Job was tested. So we're heading down the road. We get up a bit. I said, well, let's check it. And because I could see a little steam coming out, and sure enough, there's water leak. Now, I'd been looking at the seam where the top and the bottom of the reservoir come together, thinking maybe I've got some sort of spit going on there. No, as it turns out, the whole top of my reservoir has a crack from front to back. Even down there where it screws on, it crosses there, and the cap screws on, it crosses over the top of it toward the back. I told Adriel, I said, as long as what's in the engine stays in the engine, we're good. We'll be able to make it. We'll lose some because of the reservoir, but we'll make it. And I have a leak in the back of my engine I have not been able to find or get to or fix. So I knew that was there. Plus I had the thing with the radiator, or with the reservoir. But everything was working out pretty good. We're going. The truck was running rough though. I think when it overheated, it carboned up the injectors pretty good, because in cruise control, even with an empty trailer, when you'd hit a hill and it wanted to accelerate, it'd jerk a little bit, wouldn't run smooth. So I had to drive with my foot a lot. So one other person I forgot to tell you about is, while I was at the AutoZone doing all this, I made a reservation in Santa Rosa, because I thought once we get the radiator in, we're gone. When it turned out the radiator was leaking, before I knew about the radiator, I thought we were going to make it. But when I had to change the radiator, I had called him and said, look, I just talked to you. I've got to cancel the reservation. I don't know if I can even make it there. And he was a blessing. He said, no problem. I'll cancel the thing. Let me know in 3 hours and we'll keep the reservation for you. His name was Jonathan. That's another biblical name. I said, do you know what your name means? He said, no. I said, it means gift from God. And he liked that. He'd never known that. So we're tootling on up to Santa Rosa. Everything's fixed. It's running rough, but we make it up there. Now, Tuesday morning, I got up about 5:15, my normal time, to see what the conditions were. And then I was on the road to New Mexico. I get to Decatur, and I'm in the bed about 11 o'clock, but I don't really sleep all night, but I get up. I'm awakened actually at 5:45 by a text message. I get up and I work a full 10 hours or more on my truck at the AutoZone in Decatur. God's taking care of everything the whole time. All I got to do is my part. We're on the road. We're headed to Santa Rosa. And we get there at 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, there's a time change, so that's actually 4 o'clock in the morning for Stacy. But we get there, and we get up about 6 o'clock. So I got about 3 hours of sleep. That was all the rest, the only amount of time I could afford. So we get up, we get breakfast, we head over to the truck. Now, on my trailer is a winch that I have installed, so it could be a makeshift car hauler. The way you control it is a little key fob, remote control. Before I left, Rhonda had mind enough to say, do you need any batteries for it? And I said, it seems to be working, it'll turn on. But she gave me a battery. So I looked on the back, said what it needed. She gave me one. But when I got there and tried to use it, it would turn on, but when I hit a button to activate the winch, light go out. So I open it up, change the battery, only to find that it takes 2. I'm in the middle of nowhere, New Mexico, at a truck stop that's being renovated. It's a little nothing place. I asked the little man behind the counter, do you have these? He said, I don't think so, but if we do, they're going to be over there. I went and looked over there. They didn't have any. Didn't expect it really, but I had to look because, right, God? I said, do you have a key fob I can borrow the battery? He said, mine doesn't work. Now, amongst all this time, I'm trying to find grease guns because I never did grease my axles on my trailer. But I walk out to the truck, and about the time I walk to my truck, a little SUV pulls into the area beside where we're at so that this couple can let their dog relieve himself. So I walk over there and tell them the situation. I said, do you have a key fob battery I can borrow? The man had a key fob he wasn't using because he wasn't in that vehicle. So we figured out how to open it up, and guess what? Got my second battery. That's how quick God was taking care of this stuff, okay? Now, his name was Rick. I haven't found that in the Bible. Don't know what the dog's name is. Don't know what the woman's name is. Maybe somebody had a biblical name. I don't know. But I had the batteries I needed. We loaded the truck up. Aired the tires up on the trailer. I went back inside and I asked the little guy, I said, do you know where I can get some grease? He said, go down to exit 277 and go to the TA. So I went down there, walked in, asked the guy behind the counter, do you have a grease gun? Can I get some grease? He said, I don't have anything. He said, but you can go talk to the guys in the shop in the back. This is Thanksgiving Day, folks. Now, just a shout out to the people in the trucking industry, either driving the trucks or those who service the drivers. They're working on the holidays, okay? Remember that. Be thankful for that. So I go walk toward the shop, meet up with the guy working there, and I tell him the situation. He said, if you can wait a couple of hours, you can get one of the bays and we can, put grease in there. I don't have a couple of hours. I'm already delayed as it is. So he said, well, try the shop next door. So I go over there. When I get to it, it looks closed. There's nobody in the front. Nothing's open in the front. So I drive around back. Got to go the full distance, right? The man just locked the door and was walking to his truck when I pulled up to him and told him what my situation is. He said I'd have to open the shop all the way back up. I said, if you'll do this for me, I'd really appreciate it. After all that I've gone through, I really need to make sure I got grease in these things, okay? And he did. He opened it up, backed the trailer up to the bay. He pulled out a big old grease gun. It's on wheels. And I took the stuff off of my axles to be able to grease it up, and I had the one tire that I was most concerned about, the tire and the wheel, the bearings, the Allemite was broke off. The grease fitting. So I said, well, I'll try something. He brought me a grease zerk, and I couldn't get it screwed in. I said, well, maybe I can just hold it on there and get some grease in there. So I did it, but when I hit it, it shot back out pretty quick, but it didn't look like it went where it needed to go. So he brought I cleaned it up and found that it was broke off. It was still in there. I couldn't get it out with a little screwdriver, so he brought an easy out, and he broke his easy out. But no problem. He said they're junk anyway. Easy outs break easy. So I jacked the trailer up, took the bearing out, pushed the wheel back on there enough where I could fill up that whole cavity with grease, and then press the bearing back in with the washer. Put it back all together, close it up. I put some extra grease in the cap just to have some extra in there. Put it all together. Rolled smooth, no slack. We're golden. I asked him, because his name was Chris. I said, Chris, is that short for Christopher? He said, yeah, that's my name. My name's Christopher. I said, do you know what your name means? And he gave a definition. I wish I could remember what he said, because I'd heard it before, but I said, your name means Christ offerer. Christopher means Christ offerer. So if you've been paying attention, God's been giving me God winks all this time. All through this whole experience. I didn't go looking for this stuff, but I look for these things. I listen for when God has something to tell me. Oh, back about the bungee cord. Putting the truck on the trailer and being able to fish this chain through the suspension parts on his truck, that's where the bungee cord came in. Because you couldn't get your fingers in there good. So I could fish that through, hook the chain, and pull it through. God provides. Jehovah Jireh. Constant prayers all the way home. My truck never overheated. I decided, with it running as bad as it was, maybe I need to clean the injectors. Bought some injector cleaner, only to discover I really actually had some in the back of my truck. But you know, when you lose something, if you want to find it, go buy another one. That's theme in my life. But the truck started running better. It went down to, even with an empty trailer, less than 9 miles to the gallon. So with the truck on there, it would have to go even lower than that, right? Running bad. My second to last tank was nearly 12 miles to the gallon because I kept putting this injection cleaner through there. There was a point in time where my fan, the fan is electric, and it started running 100% of the time instead of going on and off like it would normally do. So I said, I need to put some coolant in there. And I did. I added about a gallon and a half or two of coolant and came the rest of the way home. We got home about 2 o'clock in the morning, Friday morning. God carried us the whole way. I did everything that I could, and the rest was up to God to make it home. The only thing missing is I've lost a couple of hubcaps off my truck, because let me tell you something, the roads in New Mexico are not like the roads in Texas or even in Louisiana. They're rough. But that's a testimony for you folks. That is a true Thanksgiving testimony for us of the thankfulness of God's providential care and His love and His protection. And I hope that you can draw out of this story, you can trust God. He's got you. You got to do your part. The rest is up to Him. He did everything I couldn't do. I only could do what I could do. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I love you. Appreciate you being here. God bless.